Hello guys, what is up? This is Galactic Elliot, bringing you guys to the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee WBE Draft. So for those that were not aware, WBE is back. We're doing a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Draft and pretty much League in general. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, of course. My name is Galactic Elliot, coach of the Chicago Cubchoos, and just to pretty much break things down for you, we are doing a league with 10 different YouTubers. All the links will be in the description down below. And we are picking up the 10 different Pokemon. This is a competitive draft battle league. So basically we draft Pokemon and we end up using these Pokemon in, week to week type battles against other coaches. And we don't have to bring all 10 Pokemon. Obviously it's a 6v6 league. There's a 20-minute timer for each battle. So we're going to be having to battle as quickly as possible. No items, no genning, so we have to actually go ahead and get these Pokemon legitimately, which I've been doing on my live stream, of course. And yeah, so I number 6 out of 10 in the draft. Not really the best draft spot in the world, but we ended up taking what we get. We don't really, we're gonna try not to get too upset about it. It's okay. We're gonna get what we get. And without further ado, let's get right into the draft. I think I explained everything as early as possible. Just keep in mind, guys, of course, that there aren't too many Pokemon that we can use in this format. Obviously, we pick Megas. There are Alolan forms, but things like Melmetal, things like Mewtwo, Mew, and the starters are not able to be drafted. So, the Pikachu and Eevee that you guys are starters aren't allowed at all because they have a lot of support moves that are going to be busted, and overall, it just won't really be too fair. Plus, you only get one of them, so it's going to be tough to bring a fresh set every single week for that type of stuff. Same with, like, Mew and whatnot, and Melmetal is just, really good. So, yeah. There are pretty much around like 170 Pokemon or so that you can draft from if you include Megas, Alolan forms, and all that. Maybe even more than that. But, we're going to have some weird teams. And overall, with pick number 6, probably the worst pick you can get out of this draft. We picked the best thing that we possibly could. And I think that, we covered the bases that we could. Fairies and dragons aren't too essential in this type of draft. Steel Pokemon, there aren't a bunch of, honestly. So the Fairy Dragon Silkcore that we usually would draft, unfortunately, we can't really draft too much this time around unless we take something like Dragonite or take like a Alolan Exeggutor or, things like that. And overall, I mean, there are only a few of those type of Pokemon. So, yeah. Without further ado, let's get right into the draft, guys. Sorry for explaining everything and taking some time for that. So, with pick number 1, we went ahead and took Mega Beedrill for our first pick. This thing is a monster, the Beastnagan Beast. This thing I've never used myself, and I finally will be able to use it. Unfortunately, there are no abilities, no items, or anything like that in this league, so I can't really take advantage of adaptability. But this thing is still a monster. It gets things like U-Turn, it gets Poison Jab, Stab, it gets Drill Run, it gets tons of different moves that it can pretty much destroy things with. Base 145 speed, so this thing is one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. It really is one of the fastest out of like 800 Pokemon, but without the other, 650 or so, it's still so freaking fast. This thing's a monster, and overall, we had to take it, man. Honestly, with things like Mega Aerodactyl taken and, Mega Gyarados taken, this is the best thing on the board easily, and I'm very happy we were able to snag it whenever we could. And overall, like I said, it's an amazing pivoter. It has just such raw power, and it's gonna put in the work for us, I think. So yeah, also guys, leave a like if you guys are ready for the WBE, and also let me know in the comments section below by the end of the video which Pokemon you like the most out of what we have drafted. With pick number 2 though, we ended up taking Aerodactyl. This is regular Aerodactyl, I know, but it's base 130 speed, guys. This thing's a monster still. It still gets Earthquake. It gets things like Stone Edge. It gets Wing Attack. It gets, moves that a lot of Pokemon can't take advantage of. With how many freaking, poison types, grass types. With how many Pokemon are weak to Earthquake in general. Like, this thing covers all of your bases. It's able to take hits pretty darn well. And can outspeed so many things without Choice Scarf or Tailwind or Trick Room. How are things to get around Mega Beedrill and Aerodactyl? That's my question. Such a beast. Gonna put in so much work, and overall, we had to take it whenever we could. Round 2, Aerodactyl, even if it's not Mega, is still really good, and I was very happy to snag this thing up in round 2 whenever we could. And like I said before, the speed 2 is already looking pretty good, but in round 3, we decided to go ahead and continue with the speed. This may have been a bit early to take Rapidash, but we didn't know when people were going to start taking fire types, and we're thinking, Well, we could take Arcanine, but obviously Arcanine doesn't have things like Intimidate, doesn't have the best coverage in the world, it's more defensive, and, you know, in a league where you only have a 20-minute timer and you gotta just pick moves quickly, Rapidash is really good, base 105 speed, it gets really good coverage, high horsepower I believe it gets, as well as, you know, things like Flare Blitz. Overall, it hits hard, it can also hit special if we needed to, and I feel like it can put in some fine work. In regular leagues, it's also kind of underrated, but in this type of league, I think it's the best time to take something like this. Overall, we needed a fire type that can have some good coverage and overall have the speed to back it up, and Rapidash is a very balanced Pokemon that a lot of people may overlook. We could have maybe waited around it too, but we took it because we saw it. And like I said before, we didn't know when people were going to take fire types. So, yeah. I mean, it may have been a bit early, but we wanted Rapidash from the get-go, and we got Rapidash by round 3. In round 4, though, we ended up taking Alolan Raichu, the Pancake Beast. Base 110 speed. This thing doesn't get as good of things as it used to get. Doesn't get things like Volt Switch. No Volt Switch in this game at all, unfortunately. But overall, I mean, it's still a fast option. Psychic types are so essential in Gen 1 in general. The Gen 1 Pokemon, the Gen 1 meta type way of going with things, the Pokemon in it, Psychic types just obliterate everything. Electric types can go ham. And overall, fast Pokemon with high special attack or attack could put in some work. And we, at this point, don't have any special attackers. So we went ahead and took Alolan Raichu as our first special attacker, which could also go in a physical way too. Overall, I mean, the biggest point of getting it was because it was Psychic with Electric, and it kind of kills two birds with one stone. A really good Pokemon. Its ability didn't matter in the first place, having Search Surfer in a, you know, arena that wouldn't even have terrains in general. So its ability won't even matter at all anyways, and Alolan Raichu by itself in this type of meta is going to do us some justice. Exactly what we wanted to. So that's why we went ahead and took it around 4. With round number 5 coming up, we decided to take our first water type in the on the team. So another psychic type, I know, but we realize we have Mega Beedrill, one of the biggest components to killing psychic types if you're faster. And you know, if other teams don't have things like Mega Beedrill, I mean, you can have Gengar, I guess. You can have one of the few dark types in the league, like Alolan Persian or whatever. But, like, not many things kill psychic types, man. And Slowbro, I mean, I don't know. This thing's a beast. It puts in so much work. It's just fat. Doesn't get Regenerator, but it kind of doesn't really need a Regenerator. I think it still gets Slack Off. Overall, you know, it has Scald, it has Psychic. I mean, what else can it not do? It's really, really good, and it gets T-Wave, I believe, still as well. So, you know, T-Waving things will be really nice. We have 2 Pokemon that can paralyze things, Alolan Raichu as well. So, overall, Slowbro's going to be more of a utility, defensive Fatmon, and overall, you know, it has some spunk to it, too. It can hit pretty well on the special side, another special attacker for the team. And we were thinking between this and a few other Pokemon. We thought, at this point, round 5, Slowbro is too good not to go at this point. It's a Gen 1 league, so we decided to take our hands and take what we get, and Slowbro is the Pokemon that we ended up taking in this round. With round number 6 coming along, we had to get a normal type. And unfortunately, a lot of other normal types are being taken at this point. And we decided, you know, a Pokemon that is kind of slept on is Kangaskhan. Now, this isn't my choice. I'll be the first to admit it. My front office was pushing for Kangaskhan. And as I started looking into it a little bit more, I kind of like it. Overall, it has 90 speed. It has really good defensive stats. It has a good attack stat, too. Its only bad stat, I think, is its special attack, which we won't ever have to use anyways. Good coverage. I believe it still gets Fake Out. It gets, you know, priority in general, which is really nice. And overall, I feel like this thing can put in some work. With a lot of normal types being taken at this point, this is the best normal type you can take. And we really needed something to come in on things like Gengar, you know? Because Gengar is a beast. So, we got this thing. It's going to put in some work. And I look forward to seeing what Kangaskhan can do. The point of this draft is also to see what Pokemon we don't normally use being used. Especially in a format that doesn't have items, doesn't have abilities, stuff like that. So, Kangaskhan is a really, really unique Pokemon in this type of format. With the next pick, we ended up taking the baby mama. Well, the mama of the baby mama, Marowak. So, Yeah, Marowak, honestly, we just kind of were looking to get a ground type at this point. And Marowak was just the best option. Now, I know, no Thick Club sucks. No items suck in general. And not having any sort of ability to take advantage of this thing with kind of sucks. However, I believe this thing does still get rocks, so we don't have to rely on Aerodactyl for rocks all the time. And we were really looking to get a Mega Aerodactyl switch in, because if you look at our team, the only Pokemon that could take a hit from Mega Aerodactyl is Slowbro, and maybe Kangaskhan as well, if we, you know, have it as a bulkier set for a week. Mega Marowak, Mega Marowak would be pretty cool, but Marowak can actually take hits pretty well on the physical side, and I believe could take on Mega Aerodactyl really well. Overall, this thing still get decent moves. It gets, you know, the rock coverage. It gets Earthquake / Bone Meringue. It gets rocks, I believe. It does what a ground type really needs to do. And I was thinking getting Sand Slash, but Sand Slash I think was just taken. And overall, Sand Slash isn't too much better because in this format there isn't Rapid Spin. And, you know, the only way to stop hazards is by using Taunt, which Aerodactyl gets. And we don't have a need to get something that, you know, would have Rapid Spin because it's not even in the game. So Marowak was our next best option, and honestly, at this point of the draft, most of the ground types that were, you know, available were not available anymore, and it was getting very slim. So Marowak, honestly, for round 7 pick, think of it like this. There were like 170 Pokemon to choose from. Most of them not even evolved. Marowak was our best ground type option at this point, 70 Pokemon deep, and I'm pretty happy that we got it, honestly. This late, I think it was kind of a steal. Very low-key steal, of course. I am kind of excited to use this thing, of course, no Thick Club, but I think we could still put in some work with it. It's not the hardest hitting thing in the world, but it could take a physical hit pretty well, like I said before. So, yeah. With round number 8, we are really starting to look very, very, very deep into the draft pool. We have no idea where we want to dig anymore. It's getting a little bit crazy. But with round number 8, we went ahead and took Violet Plume. This is a Pokemon that we wanted ever since pretty much round 4, if I'm being honest. We've been eyeing Violet Plume for such a long time, hoping that nobody would take it. Because if Violet Plume's taken, then our next best option is going to be Victory Bell, which Victory Bell isn't bad, but look at how many physical attackers we have. And Violet Plume has such good coverage. It still gets things like Moonblast and stuff like that too, and overall can put things to sleep still. Doesn't need Effect Sport to be viable at all. Viable Violet Plume, cool. But like, that was a stretch, I'm sorry. But either way, you know, Violet Plume's a really good Pokemon. It is more bulky than people kind of see it to be. It hits harder than people think it could. And overall, I think you can put in some fine work. So we took Violet Plume with our 8th pick, which in my opinion, again, is a steal. Because let's say we waited on Violet Plume and it got taken. And then our next best option is Victory Bell. And then that got taken. Then our best option at that point, guys, will be Parasect. And no need to Parasect, but its coverage is butt. And the only thing it really does well is Spore. It gets obliterated by Fire types and Flying types. And overall, we just could not really do anything with it. It's a bad Pokemon. So Violet Plume is a very awesome Pokemon like at this point in the draft. Again, like I said before, we wanted this earlier, and we ended up getting it in round 8. So very happy about that. And yeah, let's get on with the show. Round number 9 comes in. Like I said before, at this point, we're just looking for the best thing on the board. We're thinking, let's go for a water type. We already have Slowbro, but let's say we don't want to double up on Psychics 1 week, or we just don't have a lot of other options to pick from in general. And then we just saw a very, very sleeper mod on the board, and that Pokemon is Butterfree. Yes, we have a draft where we took Beedrill, well, Mega Beedrill, and Butterfree. We got the 2 OG bugs in the same team. When will you ever see that ever again? I don't know. But Butterfree, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care if it just gets shat on by rocks. This thing gets Quiver Dance still, and Quiver Dance and any sort of setup in general in this league can put in so much work. I'm very happy. It also gets things like Psychic, Beyond Bug Buzz, Air Slash. Overall, it gets everything that you kind of needed to have, and, you know, sure, I already have a Bug type, sure, I already have a Flying type, but Butterfree is a mod that will surprise people. It won't come all the time, but whenever it does come, it may just put in some work. You never know. This is just the best Pokemon on the board at this point, and like I said before, we already have a water type. We're thinking like, okay, let's get another water type just because it's the best thing on the board, but Butterfree just made more sense than to take something that we already have. that, you know, does the same exact thing that Slowbro would, except less bulky, more offensive. So we went ahead and took Butterfree, and yeah. But with our last pick, we ended up taking Dugong. Yeah, we took Dugong. So, funny story. So I believe Steve, like Matitude, or someone else took Poliwhirl. And then my stupid ass in the chat goes, yo, Golduck's right over there. Why didn't he not take Golduck? And then the pick right before me, in Vivid Color, was like, I'm taking Golduck. And I'm just like, I probably should not have mentioned Golduck. Because that was going to be our last pick. We're actually looking to take Golduck. A very good Pokemon. Overall, it's a sleeper mon, and it gets really good coverage for what it's worth. It just has very decent stats all around. But the next best thing on the board was Dugong. Another Rock Weak Pokemon, which is why I didn't want to get it. But it still gets lots of priority. I believe it gets Fake Out, Aqua Jet, and Ice Shower, which having 3 options for, you know, for like priority is kind of crazy. And this Pokemon getting Fake Out's really weird. Does it just hit its affinity to somebody? Like, I don't understand it, but it's pretty cool. It's an Ice type Pokemon, so I mean, now we have Ice, which is cool. We don't need Ice necessarily, but it's nice to have Stab Ice Beam. You know, it's not a bad option to have that. And then Surf and stuff, you know, Scald, I think it's still I don't know if it gets Scald. Maybe it should get Scald. But I've never used Dugong before, so another cool Pokemon to use that we've never used before. I think pretty much half of this team I've never used. Like, let's actually, I haven't used most of this team. I really haven't used most of this team, like, ever. Like, I've used Aerodactyl. I've used Illo and Raichu, not in a league, but I've used it in general. I've used Slowbro before, and not in league, but just in general. And I've used Vileplume, not in league, but in general. So I've only used one of these Pokemon in league, which is Aerodactyl. And then everything else I've used just casually, or just never have used it at all. I've never used Dugong. I've always used Vivillon. I've never used Butterfree, because I've always thought Vivillon having Compound 9s was just better, and getting Hurricane as well. And I've never used Marowak. I've never used Kangaskhan. Like, I haven't used most of this team, so this should be a lot of fun. And I hope that you guys can join me on this fun adventure of the WBE. It should be a lot of fun. Make sure you check out the other coaches as well and their draft breakdowns. All of them should be up today, if not, maybe up sometime this week. And shout out to Adrian for having me part of the WBE again. It's going to be a lot of fun. Very, very casual league, like I said before, so it's going to be just very casual, like, you know, nonsense going down. It's Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. It's not supposed to be taken too seriously, but I want to have a good time, and I hope that you guys can join me and have a good time with me, because without you guys, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. So, yeah. If you guys are hyped, though, like I said before, drop a like. Let me know in the comment section below who your favorite Pokemon I drafted was, who you're most excited to see. And, yeah, without further ado, be sure you guys subscribe, click the bell to get notified about future videos. And, WBE should be coming sometime in January. So, yeah, expect it then. Either way, guys, this is Glad to Go. I'll catch you guys all later on. Thanks for watching. Peace out.